Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. It's the Voices of the Ecclesia. We've been doing this amazing, incredible series on marriage. And today I have the pleasure and the honor, I don't know where I left my tambourine, to introduce the amazing and incredible Captain Emma Mwangi.
Thank you, Pastor Angie.
I wish I could say, you just bring that kind of energy always wherever you come.
So excited to be here today.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and you look resplendent. You look beautiful. It's been a long time.
Thank you. It's not an accident.
It's not an accident.
It's not an accident.
You put this together.
I put it together.
I love the effort that you put in, but you look beautiful, you look resplendent, and you always do. I was actually shocked. You're one of the guests. I was wondering, Captain Emma has never been on Just Angie.
Imagine.
How did that happen? And you have so much to say.
I've been
You've been happy. There's nothing like that. So first, I think I want you to, you're a pilot.
Yes.
Which is always exciting. I'm sure everybody wants to be a pilot. I'm sure have you been invited to schools and places? People really like the whole
I've spoken
career.
in a lot of schools and everyone gets very fascinated by the career. I'm really, really grateful that I absolutely love it. It's one of the greatest gifts God has given me, having a career that I absolutely love. Like if I'm not flying for too long, I miss it. So
and you know, you're so extra when people get to know you. You're so extra that I think for real, being in the air is exactly where you need to release all the energy, the adrenaline. It's just absolutely perfect for you.
Perfect. And I'm so happy that I got to fly you as
well. That's
what
I was going to say. You flew me. But you know, at some point I was
so excited. I literally thought I was going to burst out of my skin. I was so excited.
And you flew me to
an amazing
Israel.
Day.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
You flew me to It was very special. Then at some point, just being a good mother, I was like, does this child know what she's doing? Where am I getting? Who is flying me? What happened? Then even when we landed, your landing was perfect. We clapped. It was so great. And really good. And seeing you in the cockpit, when I was coming up and seeing in the cockpit, I'm like, wow, Captain Emma she's actually a pilot. Seeing you at work, because maybe not everybody sees you at work, but also your dad is a pilot.
Yeah, my dad is also a pilot. He's actually about to retire.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's had a very long, amazing, and successful career.
Did you ever fly together?
Yes, we did. We flew together in 2013 on the 777. I'm now on the 737.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And well done.
Thank you.
And then, because we want to come to the premise, we're talking about marriage.
Yes.
And it's because we were on a call and then you said some profound things. You know, every time you share profound things around me, I'm like, okay, we've got to take that to the viewers.
Yes.
Because that time we were 40 of us, but now I have a bigger audience that I want them also to learn and to engage. I'm a sharer. You're a sharer as well.
I am.
So we love that. But the other foundation I wanted to lay is that we're both believing God for second round marriages. So you've already been married and left there was a divorce and now you're looking for a second marriage.
Yes.
And before we go into the conversation, the other thing about you know, Captain Emma, with you don't expect anything. So when you call me, you said you were adopting some babies. You already had 2 daughters.
Yeah, actually it was just before I did PLF. I remember.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
I think Anna had been home for 1 month.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I remember having to stay calm because I was like, your biological mom probably has already had the panic. You know how you have to say, okay, now somebody has to remain calm. There's this child now. We're at a very critical point. So I remember thinking to myself, your mom has gone crazy. So I'll be the calm mother.
Yes.
And just say, okay. Because I wanted to say, Captain Emma, are you crazy?
Like, where is this coming from?
I thought you were mad. But I love the children.
Yeah.
And especially, my favorite.
Yes.
Everybody has a favorite. But I love your children. And your children, I digress, but they're your children.
Yeah.
It's like, my goodness, they are part of, they are us. What Anna is you.
It's almost like a miracle.
It is.
Or it is a miracle.
It is a miracle.
Yeah.
So that's another thing. So expectation, you have 4 kids and we're getting married again.
I have 4 girls. The oldest is 13 and a half. The youngest is 4 and a half. And the middle ones insisted that I must mention them. So there's the 12 and a half and also 5 and a half.
Okay.
So they're like in 2 groups.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said you're going to have how many children? The plan is by God's grace, maybe 7 or more. Maybe. Let's see. Let's see. Let's just see. Success and God will be here. We'll support and we love. And already I love the family. I love that the family is doing well.
Yeah.
And that you're a successful career woman.
I'm grateful.
And that we're seeing and saying, God, we want to do this again.
Yes.
So some of the things that we talked about, I don't know where to start, but my notes start with the sexual one. So I don't know where we start.
We
Where
can
do you want to
start with either Raoul or the Expressway.
Oh, that's a good one. Okay.
Yeah.
So start with the Raoul or Expressway.
Yeah.
Okay. So we want to share some of the revelations or the learnings that we've had as we prepare for marriage.
Yes, we have a group like for the women that are looking to get into marriage, and the conversations. As you said, this started with the conversations that we were having on a call, and I was so fascinated when you mentioned Raoul, because Yani, first the name just sounds like trouble. You know, trouble.
Because you have to say
walking.
Raoul.
Yeah, you have to say it with a vibe.
Trouble, with a vibe.
Walking trouble.
Yeah, that is Raoul is walking trouble.
Walking trouble, and I remember. It's easy to say that I'm over that, having been married, dated, on and off different relationships. It's easy to say that, you won't fall for or confuse
Raoul,
the Raoul.
The real thing.
But I like the way you described it, because you said Raoul is usually like a counterfeit. There's only one letter that is off, or only one thing that is off, but there's always something missing. And I think for us, like single mothers, because we are quite self-sufficient, I feel that the love bombing situation that we find ourselves in is where we have like a partner who is completely available in terms of time, in terms of love, saying the right thing at the right time, and we get carried away for two reasons, because it's not really all they can give us, but it's what we're lacking at that point. It doesn't mean that
we're self-sufficient and independent.
Exactly. It's not to say when we get married we won't work with them, but at that point, because we're so busy holding it together, that's what is lacking. But sometimes I've found myself in spaces where it's almost like a red flag, because then how come this person is not busy or doesn't have their own life? We're not asking for a busy boyfriend, but one of the Raouls I've faced is somebody who is completely available in terms of time and love, and just willing to go with everything. And it felt like it was perfect, but it's a counterfeit.
It's actually not perfect.
Because you need a partner, not I'm looking for the right word to describe it, but I think I've explained it well.
And somebody who's not always available.
Exactly.
Because it also means that the fact that they have so much time means they're not focused on their own life. They're not focused on their own vision.
That's
they're
true.
not fulfilling what they need to
That's
fulfill.
true.
And the one thing about Raoul is it's important. It's that 9 out of 10.
Yes,
he has 9
which
out
is
of
such
10
a
of
big
the
score.
of the. It's a very big score,
Yes.
but still that one thing that's missing is the one thing that could make or break this relationship and this marriage.
Exactly.
And I always say, sometimes I get scared of the brands, but anyway, it's like how you can have a brand, let's say like Adidas, and then somebody adds another D.
Yes.
Or you have it's supposed to be a Prada, but somebody will put an O.
Yes.
It's just adding. There's a letter. There's
Yes.
something that has been added. So when you look at it at face value, it looks like the real thing.
But it's not.
But it's not the real
Yes.
thing. And many people, I think, get married to counterfeit.
We do. And we get caught up with that, but also with what I call the "it has finally happened" syndrome, which is because you've waited so long, and then you have this perfect picture. And I think waiting, you should wait with, or I like to wait with a kind of peace, so that you're not waiting with anxiety that whatever passes that looks almost real bites.
But we all go through that phase, I'm sure.
No,
did. I know
definitely.
where we're always thinking, is he the one? Is he the
Is
one?
he the one?
He's just said hi, you're like, is he the one? What? That is he
is
the
so
one
accurate.
thing has to
Oh my
stop.
God, 10
it has
out
to
of
stop.
10.
We have to put it behind us.
Yes.
Yeah. Even I had to learn. Like, is he the
Yes.
one? Always looking for the one. No.
Always awake and alert in
About
search
is
of,
he the one?
Yes.
That's not it. It's like, and then the more stories I read, the more people meet somebody when they were not even expecting it, or when you said, okay, me, I'm done. That's it. That's when the person
That's when
arrives.
the person comes
because
in.
you're not over eager, you're not overzealous. I liked what you said. I say, Captain Eva. You said that so that when you get married, you're not overly excitable, but you're the right kind of excitable. That's a quotable quote right there.
It's quite interesting, because the way that I saw it, actually I got the revelation as we were having the conversation, and I'd had some conversations with a friend maybe 2 weeks before, so it all came together. we kind of treat the wedding day as the whole
That is
expressway.
it, yeah.
So you're
And it's not the
anticipating the
expressway.
wedding and the partner so much that you're not actually present in your own life. And we need a certain level of quietness that allows us to retreat and still hear God, because it's important before the wedding, during the wedding, after the wedding, into the marriage, and also to be able to also maintain your identity. So I feel like, for example, when I first got married, it was those ones of wedding, and then after you get married, you're like, now, next,
What happens?
like what happens? It's like you crash and burn, which is, it sounds so silly, but it's I think it's the excitement needs to be like in another room where you can visit it and come back to yourself. Yes.
So you put it out, close the door.
Yeah,
you go get excited, then you
but
come
you don't
out.
lock. Yeah, so you can get into that space. It's a part of your life. It doesn't become your whole life. So that even after you're able to pray more, you're able to be more present, which is nice because you get downloads even for your wedding. It's not like a season in your life that passed so quickly. Most brides are like, be present. It's only one day. But I think it starts before the wedding and then at the wedding. And so that as you get into the marriage, you're not like burnt out and you're ready to start working on the marriage, which I think brings us to what we had discussed about commitments. Yeah.
And it's amazing because Dr. Oscar also alluded to some of these things,
Yes,
in the
he was
Women
very
Rising
helpful.
events that we had with him, the two of them.
Yes.
He was, he's also the one who said it's not a marathon, it's not the expressway.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not. There's a lot more. It's a journey. We're
It's a
going
journey.
somewhere. It's not a destination.
Yes.
And it's a marathon. So you need to pace yourself through it. Because like you said, I think that's an important point. If you get too excited just about the wedding, then some people, you crash and burn now.
Yes.
When it's done now, it's a crash and burn stage. And that could
Yes.
even confuse your spouse. Like,
It's
what do you mean
true.
you're crashing and burning now?
It's
We're
true.
at the
We're
most
starting.
important point of our lives. You cannot crash and burn now. But it's because of all the excitement. And then, I think another thing he alluded to was that men fall in love after the wedding.
That's true.
And we fall in love before, but sometimes we're in love with the idea of the wedding and we really haven't thought through about the marriage.
We haven't thought through about the marriage. And I remember one of the biggest takeaways I had from the event was when he talked about commitment. And I think for me, commitment was cemented when you say the vows. Like, what else are we discussing? So we have committed. We're committed. So there's no further discussion. This is it. We're done. We stay together, as in the forever after has come. But I realized that commitment is a journey. It's not a destination. And it's the bits and pieces that you put in every day that will give you that marriage that you want 25 years from now, which you should at least know what it will look like as well, which is important. Yes. And then now you can work backwards and see what you need to invest in terms of the daily forgiveness, the daily sacrifices, investing in yourself, investing in your spouse, investing in the marriage. So I feel like going into a second marriage, I wanted a perfect partner, which makes the Raul susceptible, almost like he's carrying the marriage. I just have to install. But it turns out that I have to be part of the process. And what we invest is what we're going to get. And I like that because it gives back a bit more control, a bit more of the control. Because when a marriage ends, it's very, very traumatizing.
Very.
And it's, most people actually say, you know what? Thank you. It's been real. Maybe it was not meant for me. Yeah. But I find that knowing that you have some control in terms of how you commit and all of that goes a long way. Of course, it also matters what the other partner feels, but that helps a lot. And also takes the anxiety away from meeting the perfect partner, as long as, they need to be committed. That's what matters. Yeah.
So there's a commitment level that's required. And I like the question that you said, that sort of he answered your forever after.
Yes.
Like we always think, is it marriage forever? That's a question people ask. But it's,
It's okay. Even more than people, I think the people that the persons, if I could call them persons, my children, they're the ones that I struggled to answer that question for the most, because they love to ask me, is marriage forever? And I love that Dr. Oscar was able to help me unpack that and explain how they can get there.
And the forever after, if marriage is going to be forever, it requires my commitment.
Yes.
It requires my input and my investment.
Yes.
It requires my being intentional about it.
Yes.
And I think he brought up the intimacy, commitment, and passion.
Yes.
And all of us had different spaces of the intimacy, commitment, passion. But what I felt like saying for this particular series was, we each have to understand, what do I want in terms of intimacy? And what am I able to put in also in terms of intimacy?
Yes.
What do I want in terms of commitment? What am I able to put in terms of commitment? And then in terms of passion. Where are we on the passion scale and passion level? And what is it something that we need to work on? Is it, because I think even as we get older, I think that's why, you remember he asked the question, who has the most perfect ICP?
Yes.
And it was over 66.
Yeah, which
and I
was
think
very
I'm one who got it right in the room.
surprising.
Yes. Because as you get older, when you're younger, intimacy it's about sex. But I think as you get older, even when there is that sexual connection, it's got a lot of intimacy in it because you know me. There's a lot of commitment to it.
Yes.
So it's not just about passion. It's very deep.
And all
It's
those things
very
add
deep.
to bring the pleasure closer.
Yes.
It's not like
And make the experience
more fulfilling. Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
like a hit and miss.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people don't want to imagine that their parents are having sex, but 66
I'm one of
guys
those,
are
imagine.
doing
Oh
very
my God,
well.
my sister
Hallelujah.
doesn't mind but me. I'm like, please, can we pretend we fell from the sky, please? I'm ready.
We cannot Captain Emma fell from which sky?
I'm one of
you
those.
and who?
I can't.
We did not fall. They were having crazy, lovely sex. So what we're just saying is that as you get older and you're nurturing the relationship and the relationship is great, which I like that what you said. Let's look at the relationship 25 years from today, then work backwards to achieve that picture of success. That is so powerful and so needed in us and when we're engaging marriage.
Yeah, because one of the first effects I like that of getting married, what you first find is that a lot of people go into despair. And they realize that this is not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And so they start forming a future that is not cute and start declaring things that are not nice. I don't know if this will work. I don't know if I chose the right person. And those are such heavy, powerful words. Like they're going into your destiny and they're affecting your destiny. And I think the best way to counter that is to be prepared in terms of what to expect. Because a lot of the shock comes from what you find that you are not expecting
from the reality.
You know, it's those ones of, okay, now we are older, we wouldn't think that. But I know when we're younger, we're like, Yani, he will be here at my hip morning, noon, as in we will be together throughout. But you're living your lives and you have to get to know yourself as you also know the other person and then introduce those selves to each other. So that process is not automatic. It requires a lot of support and it requires a lot of community. I think it's just easier when you have other couples who are also like walking with you and that you know what to expect. And I think that's very important in your first year of marriage. I must say the best marriage advice I'd give anyone is to make sure they do therapy the first year. Because think about it, anything that is created is always treated with a delicate care at the foundation stage.
That is
so we can't just sail with the whole love narrative without investing in the therapy, because the therapist becomes like the glue or even a third party. It could be a pastor, somebody stepping in, helping you understand me, helping me understand you, and then helping us create a dynamic that works for us.
Yes.
I think we tend to think that's automatic. And we only realize it's not when
later.
You know.
And I don't know, I've been thinking about, I believe we're in a season of birthing, yeah? So there's a lot of birthing taking place. The nation is birthing, individuals are birthing. But then again, I was reflecting on what happens when a woman gives birth.
Yes.
There's a lot of care, nurture. You protect that child. You protect your body because you sort of get into mode of, I've got to take care of myself. I've got to safeguard myself. I've got to safeguard the baby.
Yes.
What's happening? Where's the environment the baby is in? And that's what we need even for a new marriage.
A level of very high awareness.
Very.
Being alert and just being conscious of creating and forming that bond.
And you know, also babies disrupt. You know, babies, people look there, they all look cute and mushy. They don't know, they woke up, I don't know what time. They won't let you sleep. You put them down, they won't sleep. They have colic, they have what? I mean, it's a lot of work. When people come out, they look resplendent, all with your prams and everything.
That's true.
But let me tell you what is going on at home is just at a whole level I don't even know what. Yeah. So that's what we should do.
Yes.
And I think that's also important. I've just realized that a lot of people should also be left alone in the beginning stages of a marriage because they need to work it out. Let's say when somebody has a baby, I will send you a message or a voice message and first let you figure out, get into your cycle, get into your pattern. So I'm not coming to disrupt that by 15,000 visitors on the no, because I think that's the same thing for marriage. That we have to give some distance.
Yes.
I remember my mom, and now it sounds now I see wisdom. At that time I was like, what's up? When my brother got married, she'd say, "Let me first stay away. Because she said, let's say I go there, I say something, I leave, and then a fight erupts, it will be about me.
It's true.
So let me first stay away. Let's give them time. So I think also that's important. That we, as a couple, we make time for each other. I know another couple that just like went underground like for a year.
Wow.
Where first, let's get to know each other before we come out there as a fortified front-end unit.
I think the assumption is because we met, like we were together before we got married. We know each other.
No, we don't.
However, you don't know him, the husband. You don't know her, the wife. And you don't know how to be a wife. And what I find fascinating is you're not being a wife for yourself. It's not the end user. You are not the end user
You're
of
not
wife.
the end user of
Your
wife.
husband is the end user of wife.
Of wife.
So
end
whatever
husband
you
is
create
end user
is
of
to
wife.
his pleasure, not your own. No, we like organizing marking scheme. And the husband
is the
also,
end user.
I'm the end user. So he's creating an environment and a love and needs that are catered for me and to me. So I think there's making that connection. So you're getting introduced to you as the wife of, and what the wife of would like, and who you are in this new space. And he's also getting to meet himself as the husband of, and who he is in that space. Because he's first himself, you're first yourself, and then you can step out into the husband or the mother or the girl or the sister. So there's preserving yourself in the process and also now building into this new role. So it's a lot. I feel like we need a list of the selves that are now involved, mother, wife, and then you're in the background.
Yes.
And by the way, it's quite interesting. When you have an issue, it's important to understand which self is affected. Yes.
Oh, is handling unaffected.
I might be feeling like I'm not doing enough as a mother and then have a bad day at work. Now, surely I've now moved the self issue into the workspace. But if I can acknowledge that it's just the mom space and I can figure it out, then the rest of the spaces can continue to flourish in tandem while I'm figuring out this particular space. Instead of, calling a meeting and just vurugaing all the selves, just call the self that's concerned. And I think because marriage is so challenging, it feels like it's you who is failing, but your work is fine. If you're already a mother, your motherhood is probably fine, your friendships are fine. So it's the specific space, yes, that needs to be addressed.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's amazing because one of the things that we had talked about was that marriage has so many moving parts.
Yes.
And we find that, and especially, I guess, Christians, because we are told we should hold sex for marriage. Yeah?
Yes.
So there are a lot of people out there who want to have sex, who I won't even discuss the levels of, I don't even know what to say, but all sorts of feelings are flying all over the place. Let me come back to my point. My point was that a lot of Christians then get married because of sex. They want to have sex.
Yeah.
Which is also biblical. I think Peter or Paul, he said, if your body burns, get married.
I feel you.
Yeah, I feel you. That's good. It's a good thing to know God is feeling that
about
story.
Jesus. Like he
understands. So he says if you need to get married.
He gets it, yeah.
But then I find that the focus, because I don't want to go into the other story of the messages that I find. People send me messages. I'm like, wow, okay. So let me pray for wisdom on what I'm going to do with that message. But anyway, that we can't get married just to have sex.
Yeah, there's a lot more.
We need to look at all the moving parts that are taking place. Do you want to weigh into that as I check what else we are talking about?
I feel like sex is more like it's both the seed, it's like the beginning and the end. It's the foundation, but it's also the icing on the cake.
Yes.
And then there's the in between. So that's how I would describe it as part of the marriage. Yeah.
And the waiting game. We won't go into that. We'll discuss the people when they want to come and tell us how they're waiting. But they was dealing with generational issues because they've been modeled to us.
Yes.
But also when I don't believe in myself, I attract the underdog. That for me was such a big one as well. That because we talked a lot about identity, and throughout the series we've talked about identity and knowing who we are. So that when we come to the table, we come as our real selves, we come as our authentic selves, and then we don't settle. One of the resources is don't settle for safe. Don't settle for something that's not you because you don't believe in yourself. So I don't know, there's not believing in yourself and also how marriage was modeled to us. Maybe you can weigh into this, those two things.
I think I look at it as there's believing in yourself and believing who you are.
Okay.
The way that I look at it is I have to believe, in other words, accept that this is who I am. changing it will only cause me to attract a spouse who, like, I love talking. So mama,
you're a talker.
if my husband
Does not
that
like
is
talking.
not ready with his ears.
Yes.
So that's something I need to accept, but also believe that's who I am, you know.
Yeah.
And then that will allow me to connect to somebody who fits into the key and lock, or fits the puzzle in a perfect way. Not perfect loosely, but I look at it more as, because when you don't believe in yourself, it's almost like a lack of self-acceptance.
Yes.
And that self-acceptance most of the time comes from not accepting mostly flaws, but also sometimes not accepting amazing things about yourself. So I would phrase it as believing yourself, believing that this is who you are, accepting it, so that then you draw someone who works well with you, who you can grow well with. As opposed to a stranger almost.
Yeah, and I like Dr. Oscar because he also settled that for us. Really? He said you don't have to marry opposite. You know, when they say you should marry opposite, he said no. He said your character and personality has to have a lot of similarities.
That's true.
Which was good.
That's true.
Because now if you're a noisy person and you want noise and you want him to appreciate that, maybe if he's not noisy, then he won't appreciate that. So I think that was another good unpacking.
Yes.
That we don't have to look for somebody who's completely opposite of who we are.
I think it's actually untrue, though. I actually don't agree with the opposite.
But it's been something that has been sold for a long time, that opposites attract, you know. But I think I was taught that there's a lot of what has to contrast, but there's a lot. I think what I took out of the conversation with Dr. Oscar is that there's a lot also that has to be compatible about each other.
That's true.
That makes the marriage work, and that's something that we should be looking out for.
I think we've been told like compatibility is boring.
But
so
it isn't.
It isn't, because even connecting to you, connecting to certain friends, if you look at your same-sex relationships, there's a similarity. Not many of them have that antagonistic kind of energy. So I think similarities are good.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it could be as simple as hiking. Let's say I want to hike and you don't like to hike.
Yes.
You see, now already that's a problem.
That's a problem.
So Jima, you want to do this, I want to do the other.
Yeah.
You know, it's
you need quite a few things that are bringing you together. Yes.
Yeah. Good. And then anything else, my dear? Anything you'd like to tell us? Let me see. Anything else you'd like to tell us about your own experiences or where it is that you're heading?
Trying to think of something else about marriage.
You also said something about being men sophisticated hunters. I think
that was tied into Raoul and the love bombing with the time and the love, and then being susceptible because you're overexcitable in the waiting and
And for me, that's the most amazing thing is that I know there's a man out there for you. You know, that's really amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think it's not you wanting, but circumstances also. You have 4 kids, but I know, and then you want 8 or 7. So what? Wow! But imagine out there, God has created this person.
Imagine
who's going to connect to that
Thank you
vision.
for helping us believe that.
But
because at some point,
true.
It just feels like no, it's not possible. It's a rumor. But thank you. You've really sown into us about that. Thank you.
Because God has created you in that way.
Yes.
And then He's made the life circumstances in that way.
Yes.
And so I'm very encouraged. I can't wait for this amazing man to show up, and that you're doing the work as you're waiting for him to show up, even with your kids and answering the questions, and just being this absolutely amazing, bubbly, loving, absolutely amazing woman that you are, Captain Emma, and even agreeing to share. So I don't know whether you have a parting shot that you want to leave with us. And
I think my parting shot would be or rather to highlight what I talked about, being present before, during, and after, and also investing in the first year of marriage. I love the analogy you used about the new baby, and there's even something specific needed for the first month, the 6 months, after 1 year. I read somewhere that it's also encouraged to do another honeymoon, like a half-year honeymoon, just to sort of find out what does it feel like now that we're actually on a honeymoon as husband and wife after 6 months of living together, and then maybe celebrate the first year after that, because that's really the foundation
of marriage.
And
another thing, I think now that you've triggered that, I think I've said it before, but I think when we do therapy before, then you suggest we do therapy in the first year, but also continuously packing ourselves with the right information to do marriage. I think after like 1 year, after 3 years, after 5 years, after 7 years, after 10 years, after 12 years, because I feel it's continuous. Because sometimes it's like we said we got married and then that's it, or things come, life happens,
yeah.
and we're not now focusing on us,
That's true.
on like the half year moon makes me happy,
Yeah.
let's go back and look at what's happening
how
with us.
far we've
But it also
come.
means we take time away from ourselves, because
It's like
also
an audit.
it's an audit, a self-evaluation of the two of you, because it sounds selfish, but marriage is really about the two of you.
It is.
That's why we don't understand our conversation. But even why, if there are no children, that was not the main purpose.
That was not the main
of
purpose.
the marriage.
True.
The marriage
Yes.
was about the two
of you.
That
Yes.
is all the marriage is about first. Then all these other things are add-ons that God gives.
And even as you talk about the 3 years and the 5 years and the 7 years, I remember watching one of the Just Angies. I remember you mentioned Anne Stark helps us to come to a place in the year where we check where we're stuck. So I think even at the 3, 5, 7, take time away, audit, look at that 25-year anniversary, and what are you doing to work towards it? And how are you doing on that journey towards being that couple? Because it's easy to attend. Like the other day, I was out for dinner with a friend, and there was a family at the next table celebrating the parents' anniversary. I think it was the 35th.
Wow.
So it's easy to be like, wow, that's so cool. I can't wait. I can't spell I can't wait. Write struggles, joys, mountains, sacrifices, obstacles, beauty, experiences. So I think it's appreciating that the journey is not free. You have to invest in it and be deliberate and intentional. Yeah.
In the journey.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for coming to share.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Yeah.
I love you so much, Captain Emma. This is amazing.
I've really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah. And I feel it's important coming from a successful career woman who's also very busy, and you have babies and families and a life. And I think it's just like a pausing moment. Like, let's reflect on this and let's reflect on what we really want.
Yeah, that's true. Because you can get busy and feel like that's enough, and, but your heart still wants what it wants. Yeah.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Amen.
God bless you guys. Bye-bye. I hope you've enjoyed the series. Please write to us. Please tell us your engagement with the content and, what it meant for you and what you're going to take out and learn from this amazing experience. God bless you guys. Bye-bye.